In terms of live projects, absolutely. I think that's why DMU, especially our art design courses, has one of the highest employability rates in the country. So the live projects actually is external facing. So there is an external client involved in the projects, which our tutors will help our students to work on, which means that the students will be able to explore external projects before they graduate. So when they graduate, they are already job ready. So that's why the live projects is so important for their employability and is so important for their CVs. And you said it correctly, Jessica. Absolutely, we have so many big names as our external clients, especially because our alumni network is so strong. And many of the quite well-known footwear designers actually DMU graduates. So that's why there are so many unique opportunities that our students have been given when they conduct their live project. And it's also worth mentioning that these live projects doesn't mean that we will just throw students in the context for them to work independently, because these will be supervised by the tutors. So the tutors will support the students and will tell them what they need to do and what they need to focus on. And so they are better prepared and they will learn more during their studies to engage in such live projects. Yes, we cannot, of course, we cannot say 100% for sure that it's going to be guaranteed, but it's very likely. Of course, for studio space, 100% guarantee. And as you can see, we have a very good space and studio space for the students to make use of. And that's why many students, even students in London who grow up in London and live in London, chose Deptford. Because really, I think one thing to learn at Deptford is everything is within walking distance and the living costs are not high, but also the studio space is more than sufficient. So the students will be able to access the facilities whenever they want. So of course, not after midnight, the buildings will be closed during that time, but still that's something many of our students won't be able to enjoy if they study in London, because the living costs will be much, much higher, and they won't be able to have such an immersive experience, especially our art and design courses have a very large number of UK students, and many of them are actually from London. So that shows why it's very a good choice for students to choose DMU rather than a London campus or a London university. Yeah, and in terms of materials, there will be free materials for students to use in the studio, and which I know is quite rare among UK institutions. So yeah, that's why we're very student focused, and the students will see that they have so much privilege to enjoy when they study with us. Yeah, definitely. There are so many. So many. It's hard to choose one. There are so many because we have laser printers, and we have the virtual lab, and so it's a virtual reality lab, which is increasingly common. Yeah, it's very techy, and our students just love them, because nowadays I think it's, especially if you are in the design profession, it's part of the reality now. So they are so into it. And also for these workshops, what I really love about it, it's not just about the facilities, about the easiness to, about the easy access to your peers and to the staff. So like what you said, we have an open space or open floor plan. And that means when the students do their project, normally the program team will be located at the end of each space. So for example, on the second floor, we have architecture. On the third floor, we have fashion design. At the end of that floor, there will be the staff offices. So the students, whenever they have questions, they just pop in. It's just 30 seconds and they can talk to their tutors and technicians saying this, oh, I've got this problem, how do I solve it? And so it's so easy for them to get support from the staff and from technicians. So that's very valuable, because I think one thing about London, many of the campuses, they are like buildings scattered across the city. And here it's all together and it's so convenient. So that's why our students also collaborate across programs quite a lot. So for example, our photography students often work with our fashion design students on collaborative projects. Yeah. And so the good thing about DMU, given the great space we have, of course, when there are timetabled sessions like the tutorials or lectures, they may not be able to access certain rooms, but still normally the open space in the middle is accessible to all. And outside those lectures, for example, they want to use, and we have more than one student rooms, for example, and they will be able to access one of them when the other is being used for lecture. And sometimes they don't really need to book because they are part of the program. They just go in there and do the work because that's open to them all the time, of course, except after midnight, they have to be closed. And that's why last week, I think this Monday, I was showing some DMUIC students around our Vijay Patel building. And it's so good because even now teaching has finished. Some of our students are still here to work on their final projects. And our DMUIC students were able to see firsthand how it works. And it's such a great open studio culture. So they find it so easy and it's inspiring, I would say. When you see all the students work at the same time, you don't really need to work in silo. And it's not just a matter of booking, really. Not that difficult, I would say. So DMU Global is basically subsidized global trips offered to our students, and they are heavily subsidized, and which means the students will be able to visit some of the very well-known cities and places around the world, and all these trips are linked to their curriculum. So for example, our fashion design students may go to some trade shows in Paris and to talk to the traders and talk to the professionals directly. And our fashion buying students may do some mock fashion buying in Portugal. So these trips are all connected with their curriculum. So they learn so much. It's not just about sightseeing, but it's also about how to build up their international network and how to know how it works internationally. So these trips every year, I think just now we have a group of students which just came back from Munich, I think, and they are our festivals management students, and they visit there for arts festival and to observe firsthand how it was organized and to talk to the organizers. And of course, on many occasions, when our students visited these shoe companies or fashion companies, and on many occasions, they will see some of our alumni have been promoted to director or senior director there. So they will be able to secure some internship opportunities. And I do know that some of our students who attended DMU Global trips and have secured internship opportunities, some of them even stayed in that company on a permanent basis. So that's a great opportunity for our students too. No, at the moment, we all know that the international travel is increasingly expensive. So I can only say at the moment, for our students to go to European trips, they have to pay around £150. And yeah, that's very cheap. And you can see the university have paid a lot to subsidize their trip accommodation. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the most important part. The university supports the students £400 outside of the Europe and £150, if I'm correct, within the EU twice a year, right?
Yeah, it depends on how often. Of course, with the pandemic, it's sometimes quite hard to travel. So yeah.
But I think that's an amazing opportunity for international students. So
yeah, absolutely. Our international students who attended those trips, and they all found that these are really a rewarding experience. Big thank you to our OIEG colleagues, of course. Thank you, Lynn, and April, Louise, and Jessica. And thank you for organizing this event, because we always have an excellent I would say DMUIC art and design students. and they are doing really well, because compared with students who didn't do the DMUIC courses, they are better prepared. So definitely, I would highly recommend our Asian friends to consider to send your students to study with DMUIC.